Ever felt like just a number in the vast corporate world? Like a tiny cog in a giant, uncaring machine? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get weird. Because it turns out, in the eyes of the corporate machine, you're not just a cog, you're a whole other machine altogether, a corporation. This video is going to be a wild ride through the looking glass of corporate law, where we'll explore the bizarre ways in which the system views individuals as corporations. We'll unpack the legal frameworks, the historical precedents, and the downright absurd implications of this perspective. So grab your thinking caps, folks, because things are about to get strangely legal and more than a little bit unhinged. Okay, let's dive right into the belly of the legal beast. We're about to unravel some of the most perplexing and fascinating aspects of the law. Now, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, John. I'm pretty sure I'm a flesh and blood human being, not some heartless corporate entity. And that's a fair point, but the law has a funny way of blurring those lines. And to that, I say, bless your heart, you sweet summer child. The legal world is full of surprises, and this is just one of them. Because legally speaking, in many ways, you're both. Yes, you heard that right. The law can treat you as both a human and a corporate entity, depending on the context. See, the foundation for this whole corporate personhood thing goes way back. We're talking centuries, people. This isn't some modern-day legal quirk. It's deeply rooted in history. It's rooted in the very concept of legal personhood, which basically means having the legal rights and responsibilities of a person. This concept has evolved over time to include not just humans, but also corporations. Makes sense for actual people, right? We have rights and responsibilities that are clearly defined by the law. But the thing is, corporations, those big faceless entities, they've managed to wriggle their way into this definition too. They've become legal persons in their own right. Over time, through legal precedents and court decisions, corporations have been granted certain rights and protections that were originally intended for individuals. This has been a gradual process, shaped by numerous legal battles and interpretations. Things like the right to own property, the right to sue and be sued, and yes, even the right to free speech. These rights have significant implications for how corporations operate and interact with society. Now I know what you're thinking. John, are you telling me that my toaster could theoretically start suing people for defamation? It's a funny thought, but it highlights the absurdity of extending certain rights to non-human entities. And the answer is, well, no, not exactly. Your toaster isn't going to hire a lawyer anytime soon. But the thing is, the legal standing of corporations can sometimes lead to confusing and unexpected outcomes. But the point is, corporations have gained a legal standing that puts them on a similar playing field as individuals in many ways. This has profound implications for both the corporate world and individual citizens. And this, my friends, is where things start to get a bit messy for us regular human folk. Navigating the legal landscape becomes more complex when corporations are treated like people. Because if corporations can be treated like people, then guess what? The reverse is also true. This means that individuals can sometimes be subjected to the same legal standards and expectations as corporations. You, my friend, can be treated like a corporation. This duality in legal treatment can lead to some surprising and often challenging situations. So the next time you think about the law, remember that it's not just about humans and corporations. It's about how the two intersect in ways that can affect us all. All right, let's unpack this whole corporate personhood thing, shall we? Because it's one of those legal fictions that sounds utterly ridiculous on the surface, but has some very real and often unsettling consequences. In a nutshell, corporate personhood means that corporations, those entities that exist solely on paper and in the hearts of their shareholders, are granted certain legal rights and protections, similar to those enjoyed by us flesh and blood humans. It's like giving a suit of armor a driver's license. Technically possible, but existentially terrifying. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but John, isn't that a good thing? Doesn't it allow corporations to operate more efficiently and contribute to the economy? And to that, I say, sure, in theory. But here's the rub. This whole personhood charade gives corporations a lot of power, often at the expense of actual people. It allows them to amass vast amounts of wealth, influence legislation in their favor, and sometimes even skirt accountability for wrongdoing. And the truly mind-bending part is that this legal fiction cuts both ways. Because if corporations can be treated like people, well, guess what? The system can also choose to treat people like corporations. Think about it. When you sign a contract, use a service, or even just browse the internet, you're often engaging with these corporate entities on their terms. And those terms are usually designed to protect their interests, not yours. Let's talk about contracts, shall we? Those endless walls of text that we all blindly scroll through before clicking agree without a second thought. Well, guess what? Those innocuous-looking agreements are often the very mechanisms that bind us to this corporate worldview. See, every time you sign up for a service, buy a product, or even just use a website, you're entering into a contract. And these contracts, my friends, are often written in a language that would make even Shakespeare scratch his head. But here's the kicker. Buried deep within the legalese, often hidden amongst clauses about cookies and data privacy, are terms and conditions that essentially treat you, the individual, as a separate corporate entity. You become a party to the contract, not as a person with rights and feelings, but as a legal entity bound by a complex web of obligations and limitations. And the worst part is, most of us don't even realize we're doing it. We're so used to blindly clicking agree that we don't take the time to actually understand the implications of what we're agreeing to. So the next time you're about to click that tempting agree button, take a moment to pause and think. Now let's be fair, this whole being treated as a corporation thing isn't all doom and gloom. Like a broken clock, it's occasionally right, or at least not actively harmful. There are a few potential upsides, mainly in the realm of personal finance and liability. For example, if you're a freelancer or run your own business, being viewed as a separate entity can offer some tax advantages and liability protections. It allows you to separate your personal assets from your business dealings, which can be a lifesaver if things go south. Think of it like wearing a financial hazmat suit. Not exactly stylish, but it can prevent some nasty spills from ruining your entire wardrobe. But, and this is a big but, those potential benefits are often outweighed by the drawbacks. Because here's the thing, the system isn't exactly designed to empower individuals. It's designed to maintain the status quo, and that status quo often favors corporations over people. So while you might enjoy some limited liability protection as a corporate entity, you also lose some of the rights and protections afforded to individuals. It's like being given a shiny new shield, but then realizing it's made of cardboard. It might look impressive, but it won't do much good when the legal arrows start flying. And let's not forget the psychological impact of all this. Okay, enough abstract concepts. Let's talk about some real-world examples of this corporate personhood madness in action. Because believe it or not, this stuff happens all the time. Take, for instance, the case of the little guy going up against a massive corporation. Let's call him Dave just for kicks. Now, Dave runs a small bakery, and he's being sued by a multinational conglomerate for using a similar font on his cupcake boxes. Now, any reasonable person can see that this is ridiculous. But because Dave is being treated as a corporation, he's forced to navigate the legal system, hire expensive lawyers, and fight for his right to exist. All because some faceless entity decided his font choice was a threat to their billion-dollar brand. And it's not just legal battles where this stuff rears its ugly head. Think about all those times you've tried to return a faulty product, only to be met with an impenetrable wall of corporate jargon and nonsensical policies. You're told you need a receipt even though you bought the damn thing with your face on camera. You're informed that the warranty expired yesterday, even though the product broke the day before. It's enough to make you want to channel your inner Viking and start flipping over tables. But here's the thing. In those moments, you're not just dealing with a company, you're dealing with a system that views you as a corporate entity, a contractually bound cog in their well-oiled machine. So there you have it. The strange, often infuriating reality of how the corporate system views individuals. We've explored the legal frameworks, the concept of corporate personhood, and the ways in which contracts can bind us to this worldview. We've also seen the potential downsides, from legal battles to dehumanizing customer service experiences. But most importantly, we've learned that awareness is key. By understanding the rules of the game, we can better navigate this complex system and protect our own interests. Now, I know this might seem like a lot to digest, so I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you ever felt like just a number in the corporate machine? Ever had a run-in with a company that made you question your sanity? Let's commiserate, share our stories, and maybe, just maybe, find some humor in the absurdity of it all. After all, laughter is the best medicine.